You are listening to She Matters Podcast, episode number 7. Hey, what's up, everybody? So we have a really special 2 weeks ahead of us. I'm going to be talking all about leadership. Now, this was a 4-part series, and I broke it up so that this week we're going to listen to points 1 and 2, and then next week we'll listen to points 3 and 4. So I hope you're ready for this episode and put on your leadership hat because it's about to go down. Hey, what's up? It's Maggie Mejia, founder of She Matters University and your host for this podcast. Here is where discipleship and personal development happen for Christian women in business. I want you to embrace your identity and pursue your God-given purpose. So if you want to step up your leadership in your life and business, then this is the podcast for you. Stay tuned and keep listening. Today we are going to be talking about leadership, but leaders have vision in particular, okay? We're going to be talking about leaders having vision. I'm trying to get all 4 points out, and if I cannot get all 4 points out, understand that this will continue until next week. Okay, so what are these 4 points as far as leaders having vision? Number 1 is leaders have core values. Number 2, leading today in view of tomorrow. Point 3 will be bigger versus better. And point 4 would be clarifying the win. And I'm actually going to start off with a little bit on a more personal side, a little bit of my life. And so I don't know who knows or who doesn't know, but back in the day, I used to work for Sight and Sound. I was at a point in my life where everything was on high. Okay, my marriage was great. My kids were behaving. I had a phenomenal job. I mean, I really loved what I did until it all came crashing down. And the way that it came crashing down was they had diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. Now I went from loving this job to calling off a lot, feeling in a lot of pain all the time. I was constantly lagging and fatigued, and I couldn't move the way I used to move. And so frustration began to build in me because I didn't know exactly what was going on. Now it took 2.5 years from the time that I was in pain to the time that I actually got the diagnosis. Okay. So I want you to imagine that Maggie's on this high, everything was fine. And then out of nowhere, I'm in pain for 2.5 years, calling off of work, had to eventually leave the job, went into a 4-month depression, and I hadn't left the house. I don't think I've ever done that in my life. But this was a season that I was in that was just very dark and deep. And my husband didn't know how to, at the time, minister to me. He didn't know what to say to me. He wished that he could just fix it, right? Now, the reason that I'm even talking about this is because what got me out of this were my core values. What was understanding that I was not a diagnosis. I was not what the doctor was telling me. I was not what I was telling me. I was not what the enemy was telling me. And when I started thinking about my core values was when I said, you know what? At the root of who I am, you are not this person, Maggie. You are a person of faith. What was happening in that bed, what was happening, with me just not living, I had to really come to an understanding of either you're a liar and you are really not a woman of faith and passion, or you're going through a season where you need to reestablish and reinforce some of the truths that you know to be true in your life. And I had to look at my circumstances and say, does this look like fruit that a woman of faith and passion would produce? And that answer obviously rang with a big no. So I want to ask you guys, what are some of your core values? Ask yourself that question, because as you see these behaviors coming out of you, as you see everything that you don't want, you're getting, you have to come to an understanding of, am I a woman of faith and passion, or whatever that is for you? You have to redig some of those wells that are stopped up in you. You find yourself doing things that you used to do back in the day. You find yourself thinking in ways that you used to think back in the day, and you have thought your way into a funk. And so I threw some words up there just for you to kind of play around with, see if they apply to your life. And I'll just name some really quickly: integrity, boldness, trust, accountability, commitment to customers, honesty, passion, fun, humility, continuous learning, ownership, constant improvement, leadership, diversity, innovation, quality, teamwork, simplicity. Those are just some words that I'm throwing out at you, and I want you to look at your life and say, are any of these words really a part of my core value, my core system? And then work from that place. Leading today in view of tomorrow. What does that mean? You can apply this to your team, your family, your health, your church, your community, your job, your marriage, anything, okay? I'm going to take health because that's something that's big for me. I'm going to take health as an example here. So how can Maggie lead today in view of tomorrow when it comes to her health? I'm an avid reader. I love reading articles, researching, just different, things. But specifically when it comes to my health, with fibromyalgia or chronic pain or inflammation or whatever the case may be, there are certain foods that you have to stay away from. There are certain foods that will trigger a flare-up. You can have them juiced and it'll have, extra benefits. All of these different things. Me researching all those things and me knowing all those things, it's not going to do anything for me if I don't apply that. Application is key. I can know everything there is to know about whatever of these subjects, and I can sit there and not do anything, and it's not going to be of any benefit to me. So leading today means not only researching, not only knowing what foods is going to flare me up, but actually putting that into practice. I know that even if I'm at a barbecue, I cannot eat regular bread. I have to eat gluten-free bread. So having a burger with just a patty is me leading today in my health for my view of tomorrow, meaning you're not going to wake up feeling gross. And when I say gross, I don't mean, oh, I feel ugly. It's not one of those feelings. I mean, I physically get sick. I will physically feel the swelling in my intestines. That's what I mean by gross. Okay. I have been learning to even take the things that I really love about my culture and Spanish food. And if anybody knows the Spanish culture, a lot of things are fried. So I have really, really come to learn how to take those same foods and transform them into something that I can eat, that I'm going to feel good when I eat. I'm not feeling overstuffed. I'm not feeling whatever. It just tastes really good. And I wake up the next day with no regret, right? And I'm just feeling better. So that's an example of leading today in view of tomorrow. When you are thinking about this from a professional aspect, and again, I don't know who else on here might have a team or manages their own business, or maybe a manager at their job outside of Heather. So I'm going to use her as an example. If I'm using leading today in view of tomorrow, and I'm using Heather as an example in the professional field, one example would be for Heather to look at her team and look at the things that are really strengths that some of these team members have, right? This one might be strong at communicating. The other one might be strong at innovation. Someone else might be super creative. So she can actually look at all of these team members, see the strengths that they bring to the company overall, and she can lead them from that place. It's as simple as bringing in that most creative person, sitting them down in your office and having a conversation with them as to, I think you're a super creative person. We have seen you as an asset to this company. And I'm just curious as to what goes through your head while you are creating. Do you see how she is leading? Heather will be in conversation. It's not something that the person feels frightened about, like, oh my God, I'm in the boss's office. We tend to only address people, right? Even, and I'll get into that, even when we talk about evaluations, people get evaluations and right away fear comes because they're thinking about all the things that they've done wrong. They're thinking about all their shortcomings. And so One way to lead today in view of tomorrow is to look at your team and encourage them in the areas not where they are weak, but the areas where they are strong. Because if they are strong in that area, there is something that they have that, number one, you don't have. Number two, the rest of the team don't have. Number three, the rest of the team can actually learn from this person's process. And you, as the leader facilitating all of this, have come into a position where you are leading today for what is going to happen tomorrow. My question to you is, what are you doing today that will reap you the desired result in the future? If that answer is nothing, then you know I need to make a change. If that answer is as small as I no longer drink soda, if that answer is as small as I saw a person's strength in my team and I decided to call a team meeting and let them lead the group. Do you see what I'm trying to say? These little actions are the things that are going to reap you the results that you want in the future anyway. But you have to start leading today in view of tomorrow. You can't just say, I want to do this, and then you're not putting in the action to actually lead in that place. Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, then you have to come check us out at She Matters University. It's my coaching program where I coach Christian women just like yourself on how to grow confident in life and business. We talk about everything from money mindset, time management, and systems to motherhood, wifehood, and discipleship. So if you're looking for a community to up-level your leadership and social selling skills, then come check us out at maggiemejia.com/join. That's Maggie Mejia, MEJIA.com/join. And I can't wait to coach you over there.